So this one time, my friends and I went into a drug forest. Okay, so it wasn't like an actual forest of drugs like in that movie, The Beach. At least I think that was what that movie was about. I only saw it when I was like 13 years old, so there are a few things about that movie that are a bit blurry. I remember there was like, they swam to the island where the beach was, to the beach. And then I remember, I think there was like the drug forest scene where they're in the drug forest. And then there was another scene where, like, I think Leonardo fights a shark or something. Anyway, to kick the story off, who were the friends that I went into the drug forest with? The first guy was a guy named Callum. If you rewind on my first ever video, you'll actually see him. Just right there. That's us there. And this picture was actually taken the night after the events of this story happened. So, little spoiler alert, we both survived. The other friend was a guy named Callum. So to avoid confusion, his name is actually Chili, and you've seen him before as well in my previous video. He's the guy that lived on Stewart Island. So, Callum, Chili and I, we grew up in a place called Whatafifi. And like any place with a funny name, there was nothing actually to do there. So... We were the only people in our age group who lived there. Everybody else was either retired or a drug dealer. So on this particular day, we found ourselves with nothing to do, and we were driving around in Chili's Mazda 323. It was like a little yellow car, could hardly get to 100 k's. I can't remember exactly how this came to be, but we were just driving around town, heading, well, it wasn't a town, it was a beach, but we were heading away from Whatafifi, out towards the end of Inland Road. And we got to an intersection and we found a balloon. And we looked at this balloon, and I don't remember who said it, but one of us was like, hey, where there's a balloon, there's a party, right? So we decided we're going to follow the trail of balloons back to the party. And this is 11 o'clock in the morning. This wasn't like late at night, this was us killing time before having our school ball. So we grabbed the balloon because, you know, why not? Put it in the car, and we drive to the next intersection and we find the next balloon and we grab that one too. And in the car we're all thinking, how funny is it going to be when we rock up to this party and we hop out and we're like, hey, we've got all your balloons. Because, you know, the guys who throw at the party, they're really going to appreciate that. And remember when I said that only drug dealers or retirees live in the settlement? That'll come in handy later. We get back to Whatafifi and we're driving through the town and we drive past it, down a little gravel road, and inside my head I'm kind of like, oh no, 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 no. We get to the very last house on the road, on the track, and it's like, it's this little, there's a marae and then there's like a self-contained little community, right, that no one really goes into or comes out of. And there's a balloon on the mailbox for that community. So it was agreed at this point that maybe it's not such a good idea to go into the party and introduce ourselves and say, support the balloons, and see if they let us in. So at that point, we all agreed, yep, let's turn around. But when it got to the let's go home part, one person wasn't aboard. I know this next bit is going to sound very much like the kind of statement somebody would give to a police officer after events where they're trying to sort of push blame away from something that they might have done or some bad judgment call that they might have had. I get it, right? Because we were a bunch of 18-year-olds, we were getting ready for our 7th form ball, so it makes sense for the narrative for us to be out on the lookout for something that would be in that forest. And I know you're probably not going to believe me, but I'm going to say it anyway. This is completely what happened. We backed away from the driveway. We all said, hey, let's go home. Except for Chili, who said, see that forest over there? Let's drive up into that and have a look around. Today, if you were there, you'd just see a barren wasteland where a whole bunch of pine trees had been cut up, and they might have replanted it by now. But back then, this was about 10 years ago, it was a thriving pine plantation with one single muddy track winding its way up there. Even though we told him it was a bad idea, he drove up that trail anyway. And I mean, I'm not going to kid you at all, we all knew what was up there. A few summers beforehand, we'd worked at a vineyard just over the hill from this pine plantation. And when we worked there, you know, all the workers that were regulars warned us, whatever you do, if you need to use the bathroom, don't go wandering into the trees to take a piss, because you'll trip a wire and a washing machine will fall down on your head and crush you. So these were man traps to protect the marijuanas that were growing up in the bush. So I'm sitting there in the back reminding Chili about this fact as we drive up into the bush. And as I'm telling him, you know, we're going to trip a wire and a washing machine's going to fall down and crush our heads, I see the box go past my window. And I freak out and I yell, man trap! And I duck down, you know, like the bitch I am. And Chili slams on the brakes and car skids along a little bit. And we come to a screeching halt. And we hop out to look at what this thing was. It was the little metal locking box for a forestry gate. And then there was the big metal arm that swung into it and locked into place, which was kind of hidden out of sight. We hadn't seen that. We'd driven past it. So we were entering the proper part of the forest that they'd normally lock off, but it was completely open. And so we, okay, you know, that is meant to be there. That's not a man trap. That's just part of the infrastructure of the plantation. So we pass it off as being normal, and we keep driving, even though I get this sense of foreboding, like, oh, we shouldn't go in there. We should turn back. We should turn around. We should go home. But no, Chili wants to keep going. So we keep driving up. It felt like forever, but it was probably only about 5 or 10 minutes. And the track's winding away. And it had been a little bit rainy, so the track was a bit muddy, and the whole peninsula is made up of this orange kind of clay that's just, you know, it just churned up on the track. We get to this point where there's a cliff, the road, and then there's a drop-off. And we're in this little Mazda 323, and there's some sort of like runoff from the hills, and there's water going over the track, and it's just a quagmire. And we're looking at it, we're like, this is the one time that Chili's proper sense of judgment kicks in, and he's like, nah, I'm not going to get through there. So we decide finally we're going to turn around and we're going to go back home. Finally. But we can't turn around because we're on this narrow-ass track way up in the middle of the bush with banks on either side of it. It's impossible to pull a U-turn. So Chili's not confident with backing out, and he's like, I'm out. I'm not going to do this. Oh, hold on. I think my brother was with us actually. Yeah, he was. So my brother Blair was in. What can I say about him? I don't have a backstory about him. He gave me that camera over there. It's all the way in the corner over there because he does surfing videos and it's stuck on Zoom. So he's over there, and this isn't. I haven't edited this. This is as far in as it zooms, and that's way over there. I can't zoom it out. So he didn't want that camera because it's not that good, but it's good. I've been using it. It's good. Thanks, Blair. Good job, brother. He came to the rescue. He was in the car, and he goes, I'll back us out of here. So he jumps into the front, Chili jumps into the back, and we start reversing out of this big windy, snake road. And we get back to where that forestry gate was, and it's been shut. So we're inside this forest that's notorious for growing drugs, and the gate has been shut on us. So at this point, all of our natural instincts for survival kick in. Callum's in the front. He's looking around, peering through the trees. He's a hunter. It's his natural instinct to just sort of assume that there are predators out. So he's freaking out. He's like, where are they? They're coming for us. They're going to kill us because they think we're in their patch. I don't know what my brother's thinking. He's probably thinking about surfboards. I love you, polypropylene. I'll never see you again. And Chili's, he's a man of action, so he jumps straight out of the car, heads up to the fence, lifts up his leg and gives it this huge sparking kick, to try and open it. But I find that when I get into these situations where I'm panicking, I have a much more rational fear. And my fear was that these guys, you know, that are in this forest to kill us are going to find us with all of their party balloons in the back seat. So I grab them and I start popping them. And Chili's outside the car. He's trying to kick open this gate and he hears this BANG! And he's like, oh fuck, they're shooting at me. So he gets this adrenaline rush. He surges up all the power he can and he kicks the gate and it fucking opens. And so we're like, okay, we're in the clear. Chili's back in the car. I'm popping more balloons. Bang, bang, jumps in the car. They're shooting at us. They're shooting. Go, go. Bled. Drives back out. Reverses around, does a U-turn, and he starts booting out of there. Right? Pedal to the metal. And we scoot out. And we're like, you know, we made it out of the forest, and we break out of the into a clearing, and the sunlight hits us. And there's this ute full of these guys that have just pulled up. And we do this. It was so comical. Like, they must have been thinking there was some gang on their turf, or someone was like full on raiding their crop. Maybe the cops had come in, or the SAS or whatever, and they were breaking in and trying to shut them down for marijuana. But we kind of just go past in slow motion, and there's 4 of them. The exaggeration, there's probably 2 of them on the back. 2 of them in the front. They're looking at us with these looks, like, as we sort of... And we're rolling past the other way like this. And so we like shoot home with this weird feeling of exhilaration, like, we did it, we survived, you know. But yeah, that's the story of the drug forest. And then that night we all went up to the school ball and we had a great time, you know, prime of our lives. Time of our lives and the prime of our life. Anyway, don't know if there's a moral to that story. I guess if there is, don't go driving with Chili. And like, I make it sound like he's just a really bad navigator and makes bad decisions, but he's a terrible passenger as well. And I might tell you about that another time. But for now, I'm going to go to bed. Thank you for watching. And if you like this, subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. And I'll see you guys later. This has been a Niks Notorious Narrative. And I finally got that one down pat, because before it didn't really have 3 ends. Niks Notorious Narrative. Thanks for watching.